Hey everyone, this is Steph from Old Guy Melts Plastic. Wanted to talk to you today about functionality in Klipper that allows you to hopefully save a few failed prints. Um, Not necessarily save the failed prints, but maybe save the other printed objects that are printing around that failed print. So the functionality is called Exclude Objects. It is available in the more recent versions of Klipper. If you're running a really ancient version of Klipper, highly recommend that you update. But it is enabled in a few different places. And so periodically I've had, a plate of parts printing, and I tend to watch the first couple layers go down just to make sure that everything's going smoothly. Usually if the second or third layer go down without any issues, the rest of the print is fine. And so when I'm printing a number of parts, periodically what I can see is that maybe one or two parts on the plate are not printing properly after the first couple layers. Maybe there's poor adhesion issues, or maybe some other problem has occurred to prevent that part from getting its foundational layers set down properly. And so if you leave that part on the plate, it can, first of all, waste plastic. The part's going to fail. You're going to end up with a bad part. Secondly, it could also potentially, remove from the plate and then move around and maybe bang into the other objects, causing other parts to fail as well. So what you can do with this exclude objects function is basically tell your interface, whether you're using Mainsail or Fluid, to select an object that you know is going to fail from the plate, and basically tell the system to no longer print any traces, any lines, any layers on that object. So the way to do that, first of all, you need to use your slicer software. You need to configure your slicer software to enable the label objects functionality. And in my case, I use SuperSlicer, and this checkbox for label objects was already enabled by default. So you just want to verify that it is checked. But simply having that checkbox isn't sufficient. You also have to enable the G-code preprocessor in Moonraker, and until you do this part, any files that you had previously sliced would need to be resliced again and re-uploaded to the printer in order to allow for the exclude object functionality. So in Moonraker, in your moonraker.conf file, you'll want to go to the file manager section and add this line, enable_object_processing : true. And then in addition to that, you need to go into your printer config and add a section for exclude_object. Now that section doesn't need any other configuration parameters. In fact, I don't think it takes any other configuration parameters, if I'm not mistaken. And so once you have those three things in place, if you restart the system, in my case, I did a full reboot, but I'm an old school Windows guy, and rebooting is how you fix things. But you might just be able to do a firmware restart. That might be sufficient. You'll need to restart Moonraker as well. So probably just do a reset of your Raspberry Pi would be the best thing. And then once that's in place, you'll note that on your next print where you have multiple parts, even if you only have a single part, you'll have this in the status pane of Mainsail, and Fluid has similar functionality. I'm not going to go into Fluid today, but know that you can also do this in Fluid. In the status pane of Mainsail, you'll see this button with the hashed box with the X in it, and that's the interface for you to select which part you want to exclude from the rest of the print. And so when you click on that button, you'll see a pop-up window. In this example, they have the two cubes that are printing, and here's a visual representation of the plate. And you see the two cubes, and you can select the individual object in the graphical representation or from the list, and have the system no longer print any layers on that part. So hopefully this will be useful to you. It has already been useful to me in the week or so that I've had it configured and enabled. It has saved me from a half dozen failed prints. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope this was good for you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.